Welcome, dear listener, to Spirituality and the Brain. This is Vanessa Anceloni, your host. And Spirituality and the Brain is the segment that bridges the latest findings in neuroscience with Spiritism. Today we are talking about suffering, pain, and the affective component of pain, which means the emotional component of pain. The latest findings in neuroscience tell us much about three different components of pain. It talks about the sensorial component, which is the actual feeling of pain, plus the cognitive, how we're processing pain, our cognition, and the emotional aspect of it. And they may be interrelated or independent of one another. The interesting part of it all is that Donald Price, with other collaborators, they found out that actually when you predict that pain is going to happen, you shall feel it even more. So what would Spiritism tell us about that? If you go to the Gospel according to Spiritism, chapter 5, which is actually the longest in that book, it talks about blessed are the afflicted. In the many items in that book, we have interesting passages talking about suffering, how we suffer, suffering well. A very interesting concept that would be easily bridged with the recent findings we just discussed. Because, as the spirits say in one of the items in this chapter 5, which is actually item 3, it talks about faith in the future might offer consolation and lead to peace when we are afflicted, when we're suffering. That's quite interesting because it gives us another perspective, and it goes hand in hand with the latest findings telling us that if we give a new perspective to pain, to suffering, to affliction, we can actually feel it differently. Very differently. No wonder the spirits advise us to learn how to suffer well. And this is one of the messages brought in the Gospel according to Spiritism by the Spirit Lacordaire. And we shall read an excerpt of it so we can have an idea about how the Spirit tell us how to go through difficulties. And it says, blessed are the afflicted may be translated, he says. Blessed are those who have the opportunity to test their faith, firmness, perseverance, and submission to God's will, for they will receive 100 times the joy they lacked on earth, and after labor will come repose. This was a message that talks about. This is a message that goes hand in hand with the findings that we just mentioned to you, and we would tell you Spiritism gives us a new perspective so we can go through suffering, pain, and afflictions in general with a much different perspective. To be practical, we would actually recall a passage by Chico Xavier when he was actually quite afflicted, suffering a whole lot, and he asked Emmanuel to request a message from Mother Mary, asking that she could actually advise him some way and form. Days later, Emmanuel came back, and the message of Mother Mary to Chico was, remember, this shall also pass. So dear listener, whatever we're experiencing, sometimes it's easier said than done, but it's actually possible. It's not impossible. It is possible to go through tough experiences, reminding ourselves that everything shall pass. We hope you have enjoyed this, and this reflection brings to you new perspectives as well. If you have questions, comments, suggestions, please write to us at KardecRadio.com. We will be happy to assist you and to help you through the pathway. In the meantime, remember the joy of living in faith with God.